Auntie Evelyn had lived alone for 7 quiet years. Her only son, Daniel, had died in a car accident when he was 12. Since then, the house had remained heavy with memories. His schoolbook still on the shelf, his favorite blue jacket still hanging behind the door, and his framed photo smiling from the living room wall. Nothing unusual ever happened in her life. Until that evening. It was almost 9 p.m. when someone knocked at her door. Slow at first, then urgent. 3 loud bangs that echoed through the hallway. Evelyn froze. No one visited her this late. She walked slowly toward the door, her heart pounding, the floor creaking under her slippers. When she opened it, a cold breeze brushed her face. A man stood there. Tall, around 35, with tired eyes, messy hair, and clothes that looked dusty from travel. His cheeks were wet, his hands were shaking. The moment he saw her, he collapsed into tears. "Mom," his voice cracked. "Mom, I came back. I finally came back." Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. This man was older than she was expecting, far too old to be her son. Her Daniel would have been 19 if he were alive, not 35, not even close. She tried to steady her voice. "Sir, you must be mistaken." But he shook his head violently. No, please. Look at me. It's me. Daniel." Her stomach tightened at the name. The man wiped his eyes, desperately searching her face for recognition. "I know you don't believe me," he whispered. "But I remember everything. I remember the way you used to leave the hallway light on, because I was afraid of the dark. I remember how you'd put an extra spoon of sugar in my tea when I cried. I remember the lullaby you sang when I was sick." Her hands trembled. Those were not general memories. Those were not things anyone could guess. Those were things only she and her son knew. She felt the air thicken, as if the house itself began to listen. "You can't be him," she whispered. "I am," he insisted softly. "I just look different, older. But inside, it's still me." Evelyn felt dizzy. She tried to shut the door to gather her thoughts, but the man gently stopped it, not forcefully, but pleading. "Mom, please, don't close it. Not again." Not again? The words stabbed her with confusion. Then he did something that made her legs weaken. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn-out object, a wooden toy truck. Faded, chipped, but unmistakable. Daniel's favorite toy, the one buried with him. Evelyn felt her heart split open. Where did you get that?" she whispered. The man stepped closer, his eyes shining with a strange mixture of hope and pain. "You put it in my hands," he said quietly. That day, before they closed the lid, her knees almost gave out. This was impossible. 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 Yet the toy was real. The memories were real. His voice, trembling, familiar in a way she couldn't understand, felt like an echo of a boy she had once held in her arms. The man whispered again, wiping his tears. "Mom, please, let me come inside. I missed you." Evelyn stared at him, her world spinning. Who was he? How did he know so much? What was he really? And why did a tiny part of her heart want to believe him? Evelyn stepped aside slowly, hesitantly, allowing the man to enter. He walked into the living room like someone returning to a childhood home. Quiet, careful, almost reverent. His eyes scanned everything. The old couch, the faded curtains, and finally, the framed picture of 12-year-old Daniel on the wall. He smiled through his tears. "I looked like that once," he whispered. The room suddenly felt smaller, as if the walls moved closer. Evelyn's voice was weak. "Sit down. We need to talk." The man nodded and sat on the couch, running a shaking hand through his hair. Up close, he looked even more troubled, emotionally raw, exhausted, but there was something else too. Something strange. His eyes held a depth that felt far older than his face. Evelyn sat across from him, gripping her hands tightly. "Who are you?" she asked. "I told you." He looked at her with startling sincerity. "I'm your son." "That's impossible," she said firmly, trying to sound stronger than she felt. "My son died. I buried him." He swallowed hard. "I know. I remember it." Her blood ran cold. "You remember your own funeral?" The man nodded slowly, eyes filling with tears again. "I remember darkness. A heavy feeling, like I was sinking. And then, nothing. For a long time, until I woke up somewhere I didn't recognize." Evelyn felt goosebumps rise across her arms. "Where did you wake up?" she asked cautiously. He shook his head. "I don't know what to call it. A place with no walls, no sky, just flashes of memories. Mine, yours, things I had forgotten, things I never saw but somehow knew." He looked down. "When I opened my eyes again, I was older, different, but I remembered you." Evelyn felt a chill run through her spine. "What you're saying isn't normal," she said. "I know," he whispered. "But you want proof, right? He reached into his jacket with careful movements, slow enough not to spook her, and pulled out a small envelope. "I've kept this safe for years," he said. "Even before I came here." He handed it to her. Evelyn opened it with shaking fingers. Inside was a photograph. Old, slightly torn, clearly taken with a cheap disposable camera decades ago. It showed a little boy, Daniel, about 7 years old, wearing his favorite blue jacket, smiling with teeth missing. But this wasn't the strange part. The strange part was who was standing next to him. A grown man, the same man sitting on her couch right now. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. What is this?" "We took that picture together," he said gently. "You didn't know because it didn't happen yet." Her hands trembled violently. "How can you be in a photo from 28 years ago?" she whispered. He inhaled shakily. "I don't fully understand it. I just know that time, it isn't what we think. I think something pulled me back. Or forward. Or both." He leaned toward her with pleading eyes. "I don't want anything from you. I just want you to know the truth." Evelyn felt her eyes burn with tears, not out of belief, but out of fear. This man knew her deepest memories. He carried a toy, buried with her child. He was in a photo he shouldn't exist in. He knew details he could never learn from anyone else. Yet none of it should be possible. She whispered the question she had been avoiding. "If you really are my son, why are you older than me?" The man lowered his head, his voice a whisper of pain. "Because wherever I went, time didn't move the way it does here." He looked up at her with haunted eyes. "And I wasn't alone." Evelyn's heart stopped for a moment. "Who was with you?" she asked. He swallowed. "You were." The room went silent, breathless. Impossible. But he wasn't finished. "Not the you sitting here." He tapped his chest. "A different you. An older you. One who told me to come back." Evelyn felt the room tilt as panic washed over her. Why would she, an older version of herself, send this man here? What had she known, and what had she feared? Before she could ask, the man whispered. "She told me something important." He looked up, his voice shaking. She said, "Don't let her open the basement door." Evelyn went pale, because her basement had been locked for 7 years, since the day Daniel died. The basement we do not speak about. Evelyn's heart punched against her ribs. The basement. Why that place? Why would an older version of her send a warning about a door she had avoided for years? A door she had promised herself never to open again. A door tied to the darkest moment of her life. Her voice cracked. "Who told you that? The older me?" What exactly did she say? The man wiped his face, the fear in his eyes returning. "She said it 3 times, he whispered, like she was desperate. He swallowed. "Don't let her open the basement door." Evelyn's hands trembled. Her breath came uneven. Her gaze flicked to the hallway, the end of it disappearing into shadow, where the basement door was hidden behind a curtain. She hadn't set foot down there since Daniel's accident. She forced herself to speak. What else did she say? The man hesitated, as if deciding whether to reveal the truth. She said, he looked away, "that I must reach you before it wakes up." Evelyn felt her skin turn cold. "Before what wakes up?" Her voice barely came out. "Daniel, what wakes up?" He looked up sharply, almost offended. "Don't call me that," he whispered. "Not yet." "Why not?" she asked. "Because I haven't earned that name back." Evelyn's throat tightened. This man, this stranger, spoke with such painful sincerity that it made her chest ache. But fear was stronger. "What's in the basement?" she demanded. He shook his head slowly. "I don't know exactly," he said. "I only know what she told me." "Tell me." He closed his eyes. "She said the basement isn't just a room in your house. It's the place where time broke." Evelyn stared at him, frozen. "Time broke? What does that even mean?" she whispered. He leaned forward slightly, his voice trembling. "Something happened the night Daniel died," he said softly. "Something that didn't just hurt you. It tore something open." Evelyn felt tears rising, uninvited and bitter. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't talk about that night." He continued anyway, his voice gentle. "You blamed yourself. You always did." Her face twisted with pain. "Stop. You told the police it was an accident." His eyes softened. "And it was. But the truth is, you saw something down there, didn't you?" Evelyn froze. Her lungs stopped working. Her mind flew back. To that night. To the sound of something moving in the dark. To a shadow on the wall that didn't belong to either of them. To Daniel's scream. Her lips trembled. "You don't know anything," she whispered. He continued, voice barely audible. "You saw a shape. A presence. Something that shouldn't have been there." A sob escaped her throat. "No. You smelled the damp metal. You felt the air turn heavy. And when the lights went out..." "Stop!" she cried, covering her ears. But the memories flooded through anyway. Daniel's hand slipping from hers. The crash. The darkness swallowing him. "I didn't tell anyone," she whispered, shaking. I know, he said quietly. Because you told me. She looked at him, her face wet with tears. I never told anyone, she repeated, voice cracking. He leaned forward, his voice trembling with emotion. In that place where time broke, you told me everything. Evelyn felt like the ground beneath her was dissolving. She stared at him with hollow eyes. If all this is true, she whispered, then why are you here? What do you want? Why now? He took a long, shaky breath. Because the older you said something else. Evelyn waited, fear and confusion tearing at her. What? He locked eyes with her. She said the basement will call you soon. Her mouth went dry. No, she whispered. She said when it calls, you'll feel it like a pull. A memory, trying to rewrite itself. Evelyn trembled violently. And when it calls you, the man continued, you must not go alone. Evelyn stared at him. If I'm not supposed to open the door, she whispered, then why would you come with me? His expression changed, fear mixing with something deeper, heavier. Because, he said, voice barely a whisper, whatever killed me is still down there. Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. Evelyn felt her heart stop. He wasn't done. And it knows you're remembering. The truth, behind the door. The house felt different now. Every wall seemed to breathe. Every shadow felt too still. Every creak echoed like a warning. Evelyn stood frozen in the hallway, staring toward the end of it, where the curtain hid the basement door like a secret swollen with rot. The man, the stranger, the maybe son, the impossible ghost, watched her quietly. Evelyn, he whispered, voice trembling, we don't have much time. She wiped her tears, her breath shaky. Why now? She whispered. Why is this happening now? He stepped forward slowly. Because the older you said tonight is the night the door wakes up. Her mouth went dry. What does that mean? He swallowed hard. It means the thing you saw the night Daniel died. His voice cracked. Is coming back. A cold shiver ran through her spine. She wanted to deny everything. Push him out. Lock the door, hide under her blanket like a child. But some part of her, the part that never healed, knew he was right. The memories had been creeping back for weeks. Flashes sounds cold. Air a hum in the floorboards, as if the house were remembering for her. The man watched her with eyes full of fear and longing. I came, he whispered, because you shouldn't face that thing alone. Evelyn shook her head violently. No, I can't go down there. I can barely stand near the door. I know, he said gently, but you need the truth. We both do. We? She echoed. Why you? He hesitated, then stepped closer, his voice tearing at the edges. Because the older you told me one more thing. Evelyn's stomach twisted. What did she say? He met her eyes with heartbreaking intensity. She said I can't move on, not until you open that door. Her breath caught. Move on. Those weren't words a living man used. Evelyn backed up, her voice cracking. What are you saying? His eyes glimmered, not just with tears, but with something soft and tragic. I'm not here to live, he whispered. I'm here to finish dying. Evelyn clutched the hallway wall. No, you're real. Flesh, breathing. You're standing in front of me. He wiped his sleeve across his eyes. I know. I don't understand it either. Maybe I'm pulled from a time that never happened. Maybe I'm a memory that learned to walk. Maybe I'm the boy you lost, grown up the way he would have been. Her heart broke open. Daniel, she whispered. Not yet, he murmured again. I'll earn that name when the truth is out. A low thud vibrated through the floorboards. Both of them froze. Another thud, and another, slow, rhythmic, like footsteps from under the house. Evelyn pressed a hand over her mouth. It's awake, he whispered. The hallway lights flickered. The hum in the walls deepened, like the house, drawing a long breath. Then, tap, 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 from behind the basement door. Evelyn's entire body trembled. No, she whispered. No. He grabbed her shoulders, gently but firmly. Evelyn, look at me. She forced her eyes to meet his. Whatever is behind that door, he said, voice steady despite the terror. It feeds on unfinished stories, unanswered guilt, moments frozen in trauma. She swallowed hard. And it's tied to both of us. The older you said the only way either of us gets free is to see what really happened. The knocking grew louder. Tap, tap, tap. The door rattled. The curtain trembled. Evelyn sobbed. I can't, she whispered. I can't see him die again. He shook his head gently. You didn't see the truth the first time. The lights flickered violently, then went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Evelyn screamed and grabbed his arm. He held her tightly. A deep voice echoed from the basement. Not human, not animal. Something in between. A voice that sounded like a memory rotting alive. Eve Lynn. Her blood turned to ice. The stranger's voice was urgent now. Evelyn, Open the door. She froze. What? You said not to. He shook his head. Older, you said not to open it alone. You're not alone. I'm here. The voice from behind the door growled her name again. Dragged out. Hungry. Mocking. E-V-V-V-V-E-E-E-E-E-E-E, Lynn. She sobbed. I'm scared. I know. I'm not strong enough. You are. I don't want to remember. But you must. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then, slowly, the doorknob turned by itself. Evelyn screamed. He grabbed her hand. Together, he whispered. Whatever you see, whatever happened, I won't let go. Her heart hammered. Sweat ran cold down her neck. The doorknob twisted fully. A crack of darkness opened. A smell of damp metal and old breath drifted out. Evelyn squeezed her eyes shut. 1, he whispered. The door creaked wider. 2, cold air flooded the hall. 3, Evelyn opened her eyes, and together they stepped into the darkness. The door slammed shut behind them, and the house exhaled.